Welcome to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real, the podcast where people like you get the practical solutions and support you need to permanently lose the physical and mental weight so you can feel better and live the life you want in the body and mind you want. If you're looking to overcome your stress eating, overeating, binging behaviors, and move to a place of freedom with food and your body, you're in the right place. Hey everyone, thanks for listening today. I hope you are figuring out how to implement a small little change in regards to your shifting your thinking or some of your behaviors. Hopefully you've been working on one or two of those things this past week. If you are, you're probably starting to notice some changes either in your physical body or within your thinking, all for the better. So just remember one small doable daily shift in thoughts you think on purpose that are maybe more useful or helpful to you, and or making one small behavior change that stretches you just a tiny bit, but that you can follow through on. So remember things like drinking more water each day, or serving yourself less than your usual amount of food, or leaving 2 bites of food behind on your plate. Or if you're working to shift thoughts, practicing writing and telling yourself daily, I am figuring out how to lose my weight for good, or I am learning to love my body and myself. All those are great examples of ways to begin to make changes to get you exactly where you want to be in life. So today we're going to talk about morning routines, and I love this topic because it's one that personally to me, I really feel that implementing a morning routine, I did this years ago. I really feel like it changed my life in a really dramatic way. So I do really believe in the power of a morning routine. When I have these experiences, like something I've implemented that has really made a difference for me, I just really want to share so that others can have that same life-changing experience through something that really isn't that terribly difficult to do. I really find that I latch on to sharing things with you that are simple, and it is true, simple does not always mean easy, but simple to me means doable. Those simple things are the things that create such huge results. And I believe that the morning routine is one of them. I'm going to go over why morning routines can be so powerful for us in changing our entire well-being. This includes our mental, emotional, spiritual, and even physical, including weight loss. And I'm going to give you my personal morning routine in detail because I've been asked about that a couple times. And then give you some very practical strategies, as I always do in every episode, that you can begin to implement your own doable morning routine. So let's get into why morning routines are so powerful for any behavior change. So there's actually been a fair amount of research on this subject, and some of the benefits that research tells us about morning routines is pretty incredible. A morning routine really gets us prepared for the rest of the day. So if your morning routine is waking up at the last minute, really fast, getting dressed and rushing around, and are thinking thoughts like, crap, I'm going to be late, or there's so much to do today, or I'm never going to get everything done before work, then I can pretty much guarantee how the rest of your day is going to go and how you're going to feel. If you feel rushed or lazy, that sensation will stay with you the rest of the day. So the feelings throughout the day may run in the background. You may not even realize it's happening, but it's going to be feelings like rushed or defeated. The thought might be things like, I don't have enough time, I'm too busy. So you get the idea here. A morning routine like that is a setup in tone, so thoughts and feelings, for your everyday existence. Let's think about a morning like this, and you're trying to change a health habit. So for our purposes, I'll use weight loss as an example, but this could apply to any change or goal you're trying to reach, whether it's financial, relational, athletic, etc. Your morning routine matters. So if you're working on trying to change something in your life, and you have this morning where you're immediately getting up out of rest and things are rushed and hurried, this is not going to help matters when you're trying to make a behavior change in life. So if instead you begin to integrate a healthy morning routine, if you get on track from the moment you wake up, you can create feelings the remainder of the day that are peaceful, accomplished, moments of joy, slowed down, all while actually accomplishing more. It's really amazing how much more we can accomplish when we stop the self-talk that tells us we're too busy or we have no time for anything. As soon as we start shifting and working on that self-talk, you really end up accomplishing so much more with such little frenzy, with such little effort. If we have a great morning routine going, that sort of self-talk fades away easily. So it's another reason to implement a morning routine so that we're not in that self-talk mode of I'm too busy or there's not enough time, which always leads to more frenzy and more feelings of there's not enough time. Morning routine, it's paradox, but it increases productivity. So when you implement your own personal morning routine, you spend every moment of your time on something that feels valuable and productive. So it really doesn't matter so much what the exact activities are in your routine. It's more about following through on the things that you write into your routine. So just following through, and I work with clients on this all the time about creating a doable food plan for the day and then following through, but it has to be doable. So like if they know they might eat cookies, that goes on the food plan, because it's really about building that muscle of following through, building the muscle of trusting yourself. And the morning routine is the exact same way. Just following through on your morning routine creates the feelings of value and accomplishment or productivity. And think about how things go in your day when you experience these feelings. So remember from the last episode, we feel more and more willing. And when you have willingness, you continue to do the things throughout your day that need to get completed or worked on with a sense of contentment. So you're doing these things without that stressed sense or that frenzied sense. So these feelings create a completely different sense of your reality throughout the day. You start to see your life, your world, your tasks differently in a lighter way. And this actually increases your ability to be even more productive. So you'll find you are able to focus more and more likely to complete and finish tasks. You're more likely to reach the end of your workday, whether you go somewhere to work or you work at home taking care of kids and a household, either way. Knowing that you've achieved all that you could and you can relax in the evening with no worries. So how amazing is it to feel more productive while feeling less stressed, less busy, and even peaceful? By the way, I do have an issue with the whole idea of productivity, like needing to feel that we're productive. I'm not saying that. I mean, if you have a need to feel productive, that's something to work on. I'm really more into, doesn't matter so much what you're producing or if you feel productive, but much more about your being and just being able to be. But for this example, when I say productivity, just meaning you're able to get through the tasks of your day while feeling less stressed, less busy, and even peaceful. So a morning routine gives us a sense of control. And I've talked about control a lot in past episodes, and it often comes up in sessions with therapy clients, especially those who deal with anxiety or depression, because control feels good. And especially for those of us who deal with anxiety, if we're anxious or worried, we do about anything to feel in control, including trying to control other people, because when we feel we are in control, our anxiety abates momentarily. So I'm often working with these clients, and I've done a lot of this work myself in the past, on letting go of the need for control. As in life, we truly cannot control others. And when we try to, relationships eventually really fall apart, become very unhealthy. We also cannot control many things going on around us in our environment. So learning to accept the desire to control. Okay, I have that desire to control. I accept that. I allow that. Then allowing that need to drop away is huge in finding life and self-satisfaction. So that is how having the need to control does not serve us. On the other side of the coin is that when we create an experience for ourselves that gives us a feeling of control, this is incredibly beneficial. And as I said, feeling in control reduces worry, anxiety, and feeling like you have no influence in life, which goes along with depressive symptoms. So when we take control of ourselves, not when we try to control others or our environment, which often cannot be done, for sure with others cannot be done, but when we take control of ourselves, our thoughts, our behaviors, because remember, that is truly the only control we can access by controlling ourselves. We create better feelings for ourselves. And a morning routine is one simple way that gives us that healthy sense of control. Morning routines and evening routines, for that matter, lower stress. This has been shown time and time again in the research. If you feel stressed or experience stress and often deal with anxiety, worry, get a morning routine going. Stress occurs when we feel like we don't have enough time to complete all our tasks or responsibilities, or we worry about what we have to do next. When you have a routine, you always know exactly what you should be doing and what follows. And this relieves stress and anxiousness and worry. Reducing stress through a morning routine improves both your emotional and physical health. And morning routines foster healthy habits. And if you listen to me often, you know that I believe in the power of habits, the helpful ones and the detrimental ones. So fostering habits, creating habits that are healthy for you, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, are one of the fastest ways to getting to any goal you have set for yourself. And morning routines bring about healthy habits. I know how tempting it is to hit the snooze button over and over or check your phone before you get out of bed. But when you have a morning routine in place, it is a lot easier to avoid detrimental habits like that. And when you have the habit of waking up, thinking an empowering thought, and getting right out of bed as part of your morning routine, these healthy habits will carry over. They'll carry over into the rest of your life. You'll find yourself eating better, moving more, and wasting less time on your phones, on your screens. I've gone into detail on some of the research benefits of morning routines, but there are a few more I just want to quickly mention. Morning routines have been shown to boost energy levels, improve relationships. I bet you did not know implementing a morning routine could improve your relationships, but it's true. It creates less forgetfulness. It improves your confidence, and you learn to be more flexible. Amazing benefits from just implementing a morning routine. Let's talk about how now. How, and because that's always my thing. I want to give you how do you actually do these things. So let's talk about how to actually implement a morning routine, as this really is where the rubber meets the road. Many of us know a morning routine is good for us, but the trickier bit is getting you to actually make it happen, to get you to execute, to follow through on starting this. And I love when I hear things like, how do you start a morning routine? Oh, it's so simple. Just make a list of things you need to do every morning and do them. Well, I'm here to tell you it may be simple, but it's not always easy to follow through on, especially if you are in the habit of flying by the seat of your pants in the morning, rushing around. Many of you are working moms, stay-at-home moms, busy dads, crazy work hours and schedules. So I just want to acknowledge that everyone is going to do this a bit differently. Some of you may have an hour of downtime in the morning that you can create. Some of you may have 5 minutes, or you may feel like you have none. Some of you may need to have one routine for the mornings you work at 7 a.m. and another routine for the mornings you don't. The important idea or takeaway here is just to begin to start a routine. If you are a person who feels like you have no time in the morning and you are constantly feeling rushed and too busy, your first step is simply to stop hitting snooze and create a sentence that you will read to yourself immediately when you wake up. It could be something like, I'm excited for the day ahead, or maybe something like, I'm learning how to feel excited for the day ahead, or I am learning how to feel like I have more time every day. Something along those lines. So your morning routine is that, and that is all. That is your new morning routine. Please, with everything, meet yourself where you are at. You do not need to try to implement more than this right now. And once you do this for a week, 2 weeks, I can guarantee you, you will begin to feel different. You will feel like you have more time, and you will be ready to add something else to your morning routine. If you are more like someone that can find a bit more time in the mornings and you're feeling more ready to implement a morning routine, then writing out the tasks that need to get done and what you would like to incorporate into your routine is your first step. And yes, you need to write these things down. The writing of it is what will help you to implement it and execute it. Write out your list and then rearrange the list into an order of sequence that you think will work best to follow. And your next step is then to use the list the next morning, checking off the activity once it's completed, once you finish it. Your list could look something like this, but remember, everybody's can be different, but I just want to give you some examples. So your list could look something like this. Wake up at 6 a.m., say my intentional sentence for the day, get out of bed, make the bed. If you have not seen the speech on making your bed, I can't think of who. Shoot, I'm missing the name, but on YouTube, you could probably Google it, speech about making your bed. Making your bed is really important. It creates this whole psychological cascade of feel good, of chemicals that make us feel accomplished. Anyway, make your bed. Next thing might be brush teeth. Next thing might be make coffee, make breakfast. Maybe next is going to be take 3 intentional breaths for a count of 2 through the nose, inhale, and a 4 count exhale through the nose. Next thing would be write out 3 things you are grateful for. Then maybe it's get the kids ready. Maybe it's you get ready. So if you're someone whose lifestyle is in a place where you can get 30 minutes to 1 hour in the morning, then your list might look something more like this. Wake up at 6, say my intentional sentence for the day, get out of bed, make the bed, brush teeth, make coffee, sit outside with bare feet for 3 to 10 minutes. Spend 3 to 10 minutes doing breath work, mindfulness, prayers, devotion. Write out 3 things you are grateful for. Spend 5 to 20 minutes journaling. Plan your food for the day. Move your body for 10 to 30 minutes. Go for a walk, do some mobility work, etc. You get the idea. In the morning, incorporating the things we know reduces stress or the things that help you get to your weight loss goal, like journaling, breathing, or mindfulness practice, planning your food before the day begins, moving your body, practicing gratitude. Yes, all those things help contribute to weight loss and maintenance. These things create those feelings of control, peacefulness, and just more moments of joy throughout the day. So remember, the most important thing here is, yes, to have a routine, but the most important thing is to make it doable. It must be doable. Meet yourself exactly where you're at. If you implement some crazy 2-hour long routine, you do not have a lifestyle to support. This is never going to work, and you're just going to feel frustrated. So it has to be realistic. I gave you 3 examples of what a morning routine can look like based on one's lifestyles and time availability. Choose one that you will actually follow through on. And once you've incorporated it for a week or 2, then you can reevaluate and decide if you want to add more. And one other thing, whatever morning routine you decide to start up, always include an intentional sentence you will say to yourself right when you wake up. At least 1 to 3 minutes of focused breathing or prayer or mindfulness or gratitude or a spiritual practice. These are the 2 most powerful parts of a morning routine. So I've had some questions in the past about my morning routine, so I'm going to share every detail of it here with you. My intention is to answer the question I've been asked, but also give you ideas that you can use and possibly implement. So I'm going to go into a little bit of my history and just personally where I was at a few years ago. Actually, it was probably more like 4 or 5 years ago. I'm terrible with dates. But anyway, about 4 or 5 years ago, I started implementing a very consistent morning routine because of where I was at in life. I had just gone through a really tough breakup with a long-term boyfriend, where there was a lot of emotional abuse within the relationship, and which I was always, and still, well, I'm getting better at being vulnerable, but always very embarrassed to talk about, because even as a therapist, or a counselor, like, I talk to people about how not to enter into these types of relationships and how to get out of them, when they're in them, to remove yourself when you're in one. But that is something about being a therapist or counselor. Many of us are really good at helping others, but when it comes to ourselves, we are often in situations and can't see the forest for the trees, even with that expertise in the matter. So anyway, there was a lot of embarrassment around that. So anyway, when I finally got enough courage and strength to get out of the relationship, I was also at the time going through some issues, some physical issues with my knee. So I was on crutches for about 12 weeks. And this whole time period was also over Christmas time. And where I live, it's very snowy and cold. But I just had to move out of this person's house during all this because of some of the things that were happening. I just absolutely was not okay for me or my daughter to be there. So fortunately, I had some help from two wonderful girlfriends who helped me move out while I was still on crutches in a snowstorm right on Christmas. But my daughter and I moved into an apartment together. And this is kind of where I really had to regroup. And I know many of you have been through experiences like this, or other really difficult things that you're almost so low that it's just, there's nowhere to go but up. But if you want to survive, and I really wanted to survive because of my daughter. So I was willing to make some changes. In fact, during this time, I'll just be really honest, I was really, really depressed, but I continued to stay willing because of my daughter. And by the way, this also speaks to how many of us, after there's been some emotional, mental, or physical abuse, so many of us have a hard time feeling worthy to even go on a journey of self-care, for making time for ourselves. If you've been in a relationship like that, your worthiness kind of gets stripped away. You feel like you're not worthy to take care of yourself. And so, like I said, at this time, I did not feel that worthiness. I did not feel worthy to try to help myself, but I did it because of my daughter. And I often hear people, coaches, therapists, they're going to say things like, well, you have to make the change for you. It only works if you make the change for you. You got to do it for you. And I just find that such crap. That is not how humans operate in our space. Finding someone, if you can't do it for you, finding someone outside yourself to do this for, to take care of yourself for, whether it's your children or your spouse or a parent or a best friend or a sibling, or maybe it's even staying accountable to a professional, a coach or a therapist. Sometimes for many of us, that has to happen first, where we kind of do it for someone else in order to continue in that new behavior changes. Like, it's not for ourselves, it's for someone else we care about. And I think it's okay to use that. I think that's normal to use that until we can make the changes we want to make, or we can change our thinking a little bit to really start to feel more worthy. So anyway, okay, that was a little bit of a tangent. So we move into this apartment and I decide some things really need to change because I am depressed and I don't want to be that depressed mom for my daughter. And the first thing I decided to implement was a morning routine. I felt like it was the only thing I maybe could create for myself that would give me a sense of control. And also, I did have a benefit because I had a model for me growing up. I had watched my mom over the years always spend time in the morning reading, and she's a very happy person and full of energy. And she would always be doing devotions and reading her Bible and just spending time journaling. And I think this really resonated with me at this point in my life because I had that model. So this is kind of where I started. A morning routine gave me a sense of control during that time where everything seemed out of control. And I have not broke that routine other than when I've been on vacation or a day here and there. And I'll talk about being flexible in a minute with our morning routines. But I've had this pretty consistent morning routine for over 4 or 5 years now, and it really did change my life. So I started out just doing 20 minutes of reading, journaling, just taking time to breathe, to pray. And then I began to cultivate more time for myself in the mornings to where now I typically spend 1 to 2 hours journaling, devotions, praying, mindfulness, breathing, reading. It's also where I do all my writing and my creative work, where I create these podcasts, the things I truly enjoy, that deeper work that I really enjoy. I am well aware I am able to do this because of different things I've created in my lifestyle. So I know not everyone can do this at this exact point in their lives. And I totally get that. But where I'm at right now, this is what's very doable for me. And honestly, I'm very grateful for the lifestyle I've created that I can do some of this. So I am a single mom. My daughter lives with me full time, but she's almost 15. So I can kind of get away with that time in the morning now because she's doing her own thing. Well, she's usually always sleeping. So I don't have young kids, and I totally get that if I did, this would be a very different morning routine. And I've also created a business where I get to make my own schedule. So I start myself a little later in the mornings than I used to. So I have more time in the mornings. And again, I know that's not doable for everyone. And, if it had been 10, 20 years ago for me, with young child and a job where I had to leave at 7 a.m., I'd be lucky to have 3 minutes in the morning to myself. So I do understand all that. I want to recognize that it's not possible for everyone to have a morning routine that can go on for an hour or two. But the point is, it's what I've created and where I'm at right now. So this is how my morning routine goes. I am always up between 4:30 and 5:30 a.m. I've always been a morning person. I absolutely believe people have different circadian rhythms. So, if you're not a morning person, no big deal. But this is just me personally. So I'm always up between 4:30 and 5:30 a.m. I do not use an alarm clock. I haven't, forever. 10 to 20 years. I just wake up when I wake up, but it is always between 4:30 and 5:30. I roll over onto the floor on my yoga mat and do a very short series of leg and glute mobility exercises. This is in part because of a bad knee I have. So the actual flow that I go through or movement I go through is called 7-way hips. If you want to Google it, takes about 2 minutes at most. And then I make my bed. Remember, make that bed. I brush my teeth. I feed my kitties. I make my coffee. I drink a Nalgene water with electrolytes. I empty the dishwasher from the night before. I fill my water bottles for the day and pack my lunch for the day. Then, if the sun is rising or out, I take my coffee and head outside to my front stoop. I take off my slippers. I spend at minimum, and I do this in the winter as well, 3 to 5 minutes with my bare feet on the ground, taking in the early morning light while I do a breathing protocol. And from there, it is reading out of my devotion book, some spiritual time, prayer. I always write out 3 to 5 things I am grateful for. And then if there's more things I want to write, I write in my journal. And I don't always write in my journal, but I do always do the gratitude part. And then I either read a book I'm interested in, which in the mornings, it's usually nonfiction. In the evenings, I have trained myself to read fiction. I used to never read fiction. But in the mornings, it's usually nonfiction. One I'm reading right now is called All Things Shining, and it's about finding meaning in this day and age. I highly recommend it, All Things Shining. So I usually read and then spend some time in what for me feels creative. And that's a lot of writing, is creating episodes for this podcast. So for me, it's just something that I really enjoy. From there, it's time to work out. I have a small gym set up in my basement. So I go directly down there and it's always 30 to 60 minutes lifting weights. Or some sort of HIIT training, which I only do once or twice a week, like hard HIIT training. And then if I still have enough time before I have to get to work, I head outside for a 20-minute stroll. No power walking, just a nice nose breath only, 20 to 30-minute stroll, and that's it. That's the routine that I've cultivated over the years. And this is a really important point, I always stay flexible. So my morning routine does not have to get done perfectly in the right order every single day. I really do believe it's important to remain flexible and give yourself grace when you need to. So if I have a client who has an emergency and I need to get them in earlier, or I have car issues like I did yesterday, I rode over this huge bolt that exploded my tire and have to get my car to the shop, or I have family staying with me or at the house, or maybe I'm on vacation in a different place. The point is my morning routine changes in different circumstances. But I have one thing I always do no matter what, and that's my gratitude list. So even if, I'm out of routine, I still do that gratitude list. So, okay, I'm going to give you 5 things to do, your practical strategies that you can work on this week. And so if you're taking notes, this would be the time to take a few notes on this. So first thing, determine where you're at in life. Take a very objective look at your lifestyle. What is doable for you? If you have 3 little kids running around in your life, you may not realistically get an hour to yourself in the morning, but you can find 5 minutes. So be very realistic. Observe your life. What is realistic for me? What is doable? And then I want you to write out your morning routine on a piece of paper. Include all your morning tasks and also the self-growth things that you are willing to try. Things like a spiritual practice, 3 things you are grateful for, journaling, writing, whatever there. Next one, implement the list tomorrow morning. Check off each thing on your list as you accomplish it. It's really important to write that list down and then to check it off. Pay attention to how you feel after you move through your morning routine. And then evaluate it and stay flexible. Do you need to lessen the list? Can you add something to it? Okay, so those would be your 5 steps to implement this week to get a morning routine going. I'm excited for you to give this a go. A morning routine has proven life-changing for so many people. It can save our sanity, make us more productive without effort, but ease instead, and make us better people. It truly can create more happiness, more feelings of meaning and purpose. If you think there's no way one little morning routine can do these things, I am telling you to give it a try and then decide on that. I appreciate all of you listening. The listenership for this podcast keeps growing, and it's really exciting to watch as you share this with friends and families you believe it would benefit. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, head over to my website at heatherheinen.com. There you will find all kinds of very detailed information on how I work with my clients one-on-one. Prices are all there. Everything is upfront, so head over there. And if you are enjoying these episodes, please subscribe to the podcast. You can give it a review if you are so inclined, and just continue to share it, because this is really what helps me keep the episodes rolling out and continuing to share information like this from this platform. You can head over to my social media, Heinen Counseling and Coaching. Heinen is spelled Heynen on Instagram. Also Peak Protein Recipes on Instagram. If you go there, PEAK, Peak Protein Recipes, you'll just find a catalog of high protein recipes. If you keep listening right now, you are going to get some more information on how my clients take a deeper dive on these topics with me through online programs and coaching. It's where you get the actual structured lessons, worksheets, journal prompts, support, and coaching behind all the information I'm putting out there to lose your weight for good, improve your health, and live the life you've been dreaming about in the body you've been dreaming about. I hope you are finding something useful from these episodes and this podcast. And if so, please share it with someone else in your life you feel it could benefit. This podcast is also now monetized. So if you really feel you are getting a lot from it and want to help keep it going, please go to the episode show notes. You can just scroll down from wherever you're listening. You'll see a description of the episode, and then you will see it says support this podcast. And then there's a link you can click on. You can click on that link, and that's where you can support the podcast. Even the smallest donation, like 99 cents, helps to keep me producing the podcast. And to those of you who have donated, I really, really appreciate the support. I really do appreciate all of you listening and sharing the space with me. Again, just very thankful for all of you. Just a reminder that this podcast represents my own opinions. The content here should not be taken as medical advice. The content here is for educational and informational purposes only. Please consult your doctor or healthcare professional for any individual medical questions you may have. Did you know you can find a lot more help from me on my website? Go to heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen, and get in touch with questions on all things I offer, like online courses for overeating, weight loss, goal attainment, and also my coaching and counseling services.